Hi everyone, it's Dr. Lepore, and so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the gap of where you are and where you need to be. So we've spent a lot of time in this course thinking about who you are, your values, and the future you want. And then we spent some time thinking about where you are. And you might have noticed that there's a gap between where you are and what you want for your future. You may be questioning, how are you supposed to move forward with it? It seems like a pretty daunting task, but we're going to break it up into small steps and get started on it. So here are some things that I'd like you to consider doing. I want you to find somebody you trust as a mentor, and I want you to talk about where you are in your career exploration process and the patterns that you're seeing. Draw on the work that we've done on your values, and on the areas like your capital, your social and experience and academic capital. I want you to identify some of the dysfunctional ideas and negative emotions that are contributing to procrastination. Procrastination is so very common, and it's also pretty dangerous when we're trying to make changes in our lives. I want you to talk to your mentor about the value of focusing on occupations of interest so that you have accurate mental models. Okay? Mental models are prototypes or these things in your head that tell you what something is or does. And I want you to start thinking about taking small steps in the direction of your future. I want you to think about occupations that you can investigate, and I want you to even get ready to reach out to somebody, aka networking. Okay? So I want you to think about purpose. So purpose is the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, right? And we often get up in the morning because of our micro purposes. These are those things that are aligned to the present moment. They're the needs and the desires and the wants and the have-tos that come with today. They're present oriented, and it's about, fully doing what you're doing at the moment, taking care of what's in front of you, living moment by moment, okay? And it involves just being there and being present. Now, the bigger purpose, the macro purpose, and if you've taken micro and macroeconomics, you understand one is not better than the other. They're just two ways, right, of looking at the economy and understanding it, okay? So micro purpose is not smaller, okay, but it may be more focused. Now, if you think about macro purpose, it might be more generalized, and it may be aligned to the work you want to do and how you are going to change the world, because nobody comes to college to do the same thing that they've always done. Everybody comes to college to be better. That'll be my TED Talk someday. But if you really think about it, why would you go to college if you didn't want to be better, if you didn't want a better world, and if you didn't have faith that we could have a better world? Right? Your macro purposes are often longer term, and that's where we find ourselves needing to plan and design. And the thing about it is this macro purpose, this broad purpose, is constantly changing as we do. Okay? Otherwise, think back to kindergarten. What did you want to be when you grew up? Which is such a horrible question to ask a child, right? Because they don't have the exposure yet. Okay? Even in college, we're still trying to decide what's in front of us. Asking children that tends to start boxing them in, but that is my soapbox. Let me save that for yet a different TED Talk. All right, so back to what we're doing. You've probably heard of the hero's journey. You've taken literature class. We know that there's this call to adventure. They cross the threshold of no return. They go through the trials and look in the abyss. They change, right? Things get better, and then it starts again. So the hero's journey, well, what is your journey? Right? A couple of comments you might like, or quotes. If you're trying to eliminate all risk from your life, what you're actually doing is eliminating all possibility. Most failures are one-time costs, but most regrets are recurring costs, and that's a huge one. You will likely not regret the things you did, but you are very, very likely to regret the things you didn't. Okay? And J.K. Rowling said it's impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as not have lived at all. And in which case you fail by default. So all of this is talking about courage, okay? And the ability to take a risk and take a step forward. And that is a good entry to talking about building connections. So networking can seem really daunting, and yet it's such a powerful way to move into your future. So how do you actually build these connections? Well, here's what we start with. You ask with good and meaningful questions. Okay? You make sure you are present and fully attentive. I have decided one of the things that I want people to know or to say about me when I'm not there is the fact that I always had time to listen, and that when they were with me, I paid attention. I was invited to the Guru Vandana, which is a ceremony honoring teachers, just a few days ago. It was incredibly moving. And they were talking about gurus, and our speaker said the thing about his guru, his faculty member, was that when he spoke with him, the rest of the world disappeared, and his faculty member only cared about him, okay? And didn't rush and didn't try to get him out of there. That is my goal, and that is something that will help you build connection, is being present and fully attentive. So this is one of my life goals. Okay? And that leads into the next part, which is don't chomp at the bit to interrupt or one up. Okay? To actually be there, be present in the moment, show that you've heard the person, think about their life experience, context, situation, and circumstances. Because when we're building connection, it is about us honoring the other person. There will be time for you to talk. And this is really an important part of networking, because we want to learn from others. So why is this stuff important? Well, I mean, it is very important on every level. Okay? It makes your life richer and more complete and more interesting. However, if we want to be focused on the career aspect, well, there have been studies that show that, you know, in 2020 and beyond, and we're in 2021 and 2022, and some of the skills, they're called soft skills because they're hard to measure, not because they're hard to do. Okay? I'm sorry, I think I said that wrong. They're hard skills to measure, not because they're easy to do. So soft, not as in like less valuable, but soft as in they don't have to find edges. They don't fit in a box as easily. And these are skills like creativity and persuasion and collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. These are some of the top skills that are in demand, and that is not going to go away. These are not things technology can do. And although they're things you can learn, they take a real effort on your part. The reason that sometimes we feel like real learning is, you know, the sciences and math is because there's a correct answer. Your professors will tell you there's often more than one correct answer, and the journey getting there is even more important. But the thing about soft skills is they are harder to measure, and sometimes we are left measuring them intuitively, even though there's lots of instruments that'll help us. So Google, let's return to Google, has 7 skills they want us to have. They want us to be able to coach, communicate, and listen, possess insight into others, empathy, support, critical thinking, problem solving, and connecting complex ideas. These are the things, by the way, that the liberal arts, right, the arts and sciences are going to teach you. You know, but they are tough work, and developing these takes a lifetime. Okay? One place to start is asking good questions. So I'm going to challenge you to meet someone new, to go on the Alumni Connections page and find someone you would love to talk to about their career, to go on LinkedIn, find somebody who is in the field that you want to work in, that you can learn from. And I'm going to challenge you in this course to reach out to them. By the way, challenge equals assignment, because it is a college class. But some questions that you can ask are, what's a theme in your life this day? What is an ideal day like for you? What places feel like home? How do you spend your time? These are the kind of questions that are going to help you to get to know a person, okay, in a deeper way. So if you're having a little bit of anxiety over this, please try not to. People really do like to be interviewed, okay? And I want you to think about what might be holding you back from forming the kind of connections that you want in life, okay? We are often very intimidated by reaching out to new people. It's better if we meet them in the elevator. If we were on campus, I am that kind of professor that, gets in an elevator and turns, blocks the doors and says, "Thank you all for coming to my TED Talk," or "Thank you all for joining me for this meeting today." Just because, we need a break in our day. We need to smile. But it is really intimidating to talk to people. And the elevator is one place like people normally don't want to talk to each other. Okay? But I want you to think about what's keeping you back. Is it anxiety? Is it fear that you're going to be pushed away or ignored? And to make this mindset change, to move away from being fearful or hesitant, I want you to redefine FOMO. Okay? Make it finally over missing out. Because you don't have to fear missing out. You just have to get started. Okay? So this is something you might want to read. Feel free to pause and read it. Okay? And I want you to worry about the when-then trap. A lot of times you say, well, when this happens, I'll feel better. I'll be happy. I'll be successful. But you really want to start thinking about what will success feel like in the moment, not in the future, but right now if I take this step. And for many students, catching up on a missing assignment is that moment, right? Instead of being trapped, you reflect on what did I accomplish this day, because it's often more than you think. Okay? Here's some more things that you might want to pause and read. Okay? It's interesting to read. Okay? And I want you to start talking to yourself about your opportunity stream. We don't do well because of chance or luck. We do it because we are aware and observant and taking advantage of what's in front of us. So think about this. What emotions or dysfunctional thoughts are holding you back? What is going to stop you from reaching out to somebody and asking for advice? Right? I want you to start working on the problem. And the reason I bring it up now is so that you can get past that immediate moment of I can't network and start thinking about, you know what? Yes, I can. And this is the best time. Everybody is online and everyone craves connection. Okay? So here is an activity that I want you to get started on. And you'll see this on Canvas. I want you to look at your elevator pitch. I want you to think about everything we've done. I want you to find somebody that you're really interested in getting to know. And I want you to write a very brief outreach email to them. Okay? So I want you to draft this email and get ready, because you're going to reach out to somebody that you're interested in through the alumni network, okay, or LinkedIn. And I want you to set up an informational interview. You're going to write questions so that you can find out about them. You're going to write good questions, not like, who are you? Because we don't know how to answer that. Tell me about a day in your life. That is a great question to ask someone. Okay? Remember that people really do like to give advice. Okay? And right now is a great time for this, because people do want connection. Okay? People want to talk to you, and everyone is comfortable now with using things like Zoom. Okay? You may start feeling like you're bothering people, but you honestly aren't. People, especially the further they get in the career, want to help more and more. Okay? So here are just a few sample questions that you can get started on. But what I'd like you to do is now start picking a person or people that you'd like to network in. I want you to start thinking about the things you want to know and learn from them. And I want you to draft how you're going to go about reaching out to them. Think of this as an amazing opportunity to get to know somebody that you probably aren't going to share an elevator with. And who knows, right? This has led to some amazing conversations in my life, and hopefully will in yours.